Now, President William Ruto says his government will still send police officers to Haiti in the United Nations approved security mission. The president says the deployment, blocked by the courts, will continue as soon as Haiti sends a formal request. Last week, the Kenyan High Court declared the planned deployment illegal. Let's begin our broadcast with our very own Brenda Wanga.
Less than a week after the High Court stopped the government's plan to deploy Kenyan police officers to Haiti, President William Ruto now says those plans will still go on.
I think there is a misinterpretation of what the court did. The court gave a different option. The court said, okay, don't use the route of the National Security Council going to Parliament and using the route that is given for the military. Use a bilateral route. So the court has suggested that we don't need to go the laborious way. We need simply to have a bilateral agreement between Kenya and Haiti, and that is sufficient for us to deploy our police.
Speaking in Rome, Italy, the president maintained that Kenya can still find a route to carry out what he has previously termed as a mission for humanity. The High Court in its ruling last week stated that the Constitution only allowed members of the Kenya Defence Forces to be deployed outside the country, and that this deployment would only be done through the National Security Council when requested by the United Nations Security Council.
The act of deploying police officers to Haiti is unconstitutional, illegal and void.
President Ruto, however, says the deployment will ride on the strength of what he says are bilateral relations between Kenya and Haiti.
So we already have a bilateral relations with Haiti. All that needs to be done now is for Haiti to make a request to Kenya, and the mission will go ahead. So that mission can go ahead as soon as next week if all the paperwork is done between Kenya and Haiti on the bilateral route that has been suggested.
Under Kenyan laws, the country's police officers can only be deployed outside the country if that deployment meets the criteria set out in Articles 107, 108 and 109 of the National Police Service Act of 2011. The Article 107 states that the President may, on the application of a reciprocating country, order police officers to proceed to that country for service in a temporary emergency. Article 108 further defines a reciprocating country as any country which the President may, being satisfied that the law of that country contains provisions reciprocal to this part, and that Kenya is or shall be declared a reciprocating country for the purposes of those provisions, and by notice in the Gazette declare to be a reciprocating country for the purposes of this part. President Ruto says Haiti requested Kenya for help months ago, but was now awaiting a formal request. It remains unclear which authority in Haiti will make that request, as the country remains without a substantive president after the assassination of President Jovenel Moise in 2021, a situation that exacerbated insecurity and gang violence in the country. Kenya has been approved by the UN Security Council as part of the country's sending police to the troubled country to restore law and order. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
All right, Brenda, thanks so much for that.